Hi, this is Rose from It's Culture Babe, the podcast where we discuss different cultures, living abroad, and everyday experiences that you too can relate to. In today's episode, I want to talk about friendships. For me, friendship wasn't always something I actually valued. It took me a while to admit that too. To be honest, in my younger times, when I was a teenager especially, but even in my early 20s, maybe even later 20s now thinking about it, I didn't really know how to care for friendships. And I feel like this is something that you either know naturally because it's something that has a high value for you, or it's something that you've seen being modeled in your environment, or it's just something that you might need to learn with time because friendships are relationships too. And you might need to learn or experience how to care for them. So, in the past, for me, friendships were just something that was here. I thought that friends will always be here and that even they're supposed to be there for me. I kind of took them for granted, to be honest. Looking back and seeing where I'm now, I'm really grateful for some people to stay in my life. Because, of course, with time and experience, I've learned that it's absolutely not like that. People will not stay in your life just because you have history. People will not stay in your life just because you did something good for them once or twice. People don't have an obligation to stay in your life. And for people to want to be in your life, there needs to be also something coming from your side. I would say for me personally, I was blessed with people who were quite tolerant and patient with me. And I'm sure that there was something they were getting back out of me. Perhaps I have inspired them in some way, the way I live or thought or acted. There was probably something that was enriching their experience in return. However, you might be surrounded by people who are inspiring or you are inspiring to them in some way, but there are also things that need to be done intentionally because friendships are also about you going out of your way to do something for the other person. Friendships are also about you making a compromise. Maybe you're doing something you don't really feel like, but the person needs you, so you do it for them. It took me a while to understand that I have to make the effort too, that it's actually the right way to go around it, that it can't be just my friends always being there for me. And I know maybe now it doesn't sound like I'm a good person to be around, but I'm not a bad person either. It's not like that. I'm saying this just because of my realizations, how I grew older, and perhaps someone out there will find this useful because I had to learn this on my own. No one really came to me and told me, you are not being the best friend, or you could do this better. There's a lot of talk when it comes to our romantic relationships. People always have an opinion or an advice when it comes to partnerships, marriage, dating, children, and family. But when it comes to friendships, I feel like there is not enough talk going on. Yet, friends and people in our life, those might be the longest relationships we will ever have. Frankly, my best friend is also my longest relationship. We have known each other for 30 years. I have never been with anyone this long. So it's definitely something worth considering and thinking about. And I am very grateful for people who stayed in my life. And sometimes I even amazed at some people how stubborn they can be. Even though I pushed them away, I maybe didn't always act the best I could. They just decided they're not giving up, or they just decided they're not going, or they just decided it's not over until they feel like it. Relationships go through cycles too. It is quite natural for people to feel closer, but then again drift apart. It is quite natural for people to go through different things in their life at different seasons. We are not aligned, our lives are not linear when you think about it. If you're used to your friends being very close to you and let's say talk every day or go out so often, and then it's not happening anymore, Perhaps you feel like you're drifting apart. Perhaps you feel like they don't have interest in you or your life anymore. Perhaps you can feel you have nothing in common or you don't have anything to say to each other. And maybe if you are at that point, you might be considering, well, this friendship or this relationship is just not for me anymore. It is a natural thought. It can happen. But there's no need to sever ties just because the relationship is in this stage. Things are actually quite normal when you think about it. There's always some quiet and calm. As there is winter in the season, we can also have winter in relationships. Correct? Yes, we can. But it doesn't mean that the friendship is broken or died off. You can imagine it as things going further and then coming back together. And that's kind of how the life goes. It's very probable that you will get closer to your friends again, or they will get closer to you if you're the one waiting on them. And at times when we feel like our friends don't care for us anymore, let's pause and think, where is this feeling really coming from? Is it possible that we are feeling insecure about ourselves? Is it also possible that we are just expecting them to do the work while we are just sitting there quietly in our room waiting? Very often, we are the source of our own problem, or more often than not, we are the source of our problem. Because solutions can be quite easy. If you miss your friends, how about you reach out? It's completely fine to reach out more than once. We don't know what's happening to the other person, and they really can be just busy. Maybe they are distracted. Maybe they are low of energy. We go through a lot of things. Just take it from your own experiences. Depending on what type of person you are, sometimes you want a lot of company and sometimes you don't want none. And people change, and some changes can be very confusing to us. If we are a certain way and then suddenly we desire the opposite of what we are used to, that's new because that's not how they know themselves. So let's think of some reasons why friendships can feel colder or drift apart. One of them can be that life gets busy. Things change, people start families, they start new jobs, they can get sick, or some of their relatives might have some problems that they are involved in. They can just feel generally low on energy. Perhaps they have a new interest that they are just so excited about, but you have no interest in. They could have met new group of people that they enjoy spending time with. There's nothing wrong in any of those. And it does not mean in any case that they don't care for you or that you guys will not be close again and spend time together. Another thing is that sometimes we have a new project in our life, and that project occupies us completely. We can get so absorbed and lost in it that that's all we want to focus on. And when you're focusing on something, you really want to eliminate any distractions. And friends are a distraction. Yes, think about it. How much time does it really take to chat with someone on the phone, to reply to messages? It takes more time than we feel because it distracts your focus, it takes the energy. So you go to your phone, you type the message. It might feel short, but the refocusing part, that's longer. And if you do that several times before you know it, 20-30 minutes can be gone. That's very precious, especially if you need to do something that requires your attention fully. Because the better the attention, the better the focus, the better the result, but also the better the flow. In times like that, it's completely fine to eliminate people. You might be the one doing it in the future, or maybe you're the one doing it now. That's why you're listening to this podcast. Life and relationships are actually not that hard. They are not that complicated. We are just making it too complex. As my friend said once, relationships are easy, and that's why we find them so difficult. I often like to think about it because it is the truth. If you miss someone, let them know, text them, call them. If you have someone on your mind, let them know. Send them a message, appreciate them. We don't do enough of that. Just send them random messages without any purpose, sharing that we care for the person, that we thought about them, that we wish them a good day. I know that today we express our love and care with memes and reels, but maybe just be a little bit old school, if I can say that. Send a real appreciation message or have a call with the person and see what happens from there. So I wish for you and for your friendships and relationships to be as easy and flowing as possible. But what I wish for you even more is at the times when you don't feel that it is that way, you still find peace within yourself and patience to wait for how it will develop in the future. Thank you so much for listening. See you on the next episode.